The real reason Trump took out Maduro, it's not democracy. What's the deal with the U.S. Venezuela raid? Let's break down the geopolitics. It's the geopolitical earthquake of the decade. In a single night, the calculus in the Western Hemisphere changed forever. Nicolás Maduro, the man who outlasted sanctions, coup attempts, and economic collapse, is in a U.S. holding cell. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we aren't just covering the news that Maduro was captured. We are digging into why. Because if you just listen to the press conferences coming out of the Trump White House today, you are only getting 10% of the story. The official narrative is simple. It's a victory lap. President Trump is framing this as the ultimate fulfillment of America First, taking decisive action where previous administrations failed. Marco Rubio, who has spent his entire career hawkishly focused on removing Maduro, is calling this a triumph of justice, and they have a legal leg to stand on. Remember, since 2020, Maduro has been indicted by the U.S. Department of Justice for narco-terrorism with a $15 million bounty on his head. The public story is this. The U.S. finally executed a long-standing arrest warrant to stop drug trafficking and liberate the Venezuelan people from a tyrant. It's a neat, morally clear story. But geopolitics is rarely neat, and it's never morally clear. You don't launch a high-risk military operation on foreign soil just to serve an arrest warrant years later. Something changed. The timing wasn't random. To understand the real reasons Maduro was taken out last night, we have to look past the press briefing room and look at oil markets, great power competition, and the specific goals of the Second Trump Doctrine. Let's go deep. The hidden agenda. Why now? There are three driving forces behind this raid that the administration won't explicitly say out loud. Reason number one: energy, security, and prices. We know the Trump administration prioritizes low domestic gas prices above almost all else. It's a core political promise. While the U.S. is energy independent, the type of oil matters. U.S. refineries along the Gulf Coast are built to process heavy crude, the exact kind of oil Venezuela sits on the world's largest reserves. Speaking of heavy crude oil, which country with heavy crude that was recently threatened to be annexed as the 51st state? If you thought of Canada, you are right. The chaos in the Middle East shows why Canada and Venezuela are in the target of the hungry beast. For many years, sanctions kept Venezuela's oil off the market or flowing into the black market to China. There have been back-channel whispers for months that the U.S. tried to cut a deal with Maduro, hold real elections, and we lift sanctions so the oil flows freely. Maduro likely balked. He wouldn't play ball. By removing the bottleneck Maduro himself, the U.S. aims to install a transitional government that will open the spigots. This isn't just about freedom. It's about crashing global oil prices, hurting Russia's economy, and lowering prices at the pump in time for Reason number two: the new Cold War in our backyard. Senator Rubio has been shouting this from the rooftops for years. Venezuela had become a forward operating base for America's rivals. We've seen Russian nuclear-capable bombers land near Caracas. We've seen deepening ties with Iran. China effectively owns much of Venezuela's debt under a second Trump term. The Monroe Doctrine. The idea that external powers should stay out of the Western Hemisphere is back in full force. This raid was a kinetic message aimed directly at Moscow, Beijing, and Tehran. It says, your beachhead in the Americas is closed. This was less about punishing Maduro and more about evicting Putin and Xi from the neighborhood. And finally, reason number three: domestic optics. President Trump thrives on the image of the decisive strongman. This operation, executed early in his second term, serves as a massive contrast to the perceived slowness of the Biden years or the diplomatic tangles of the Obama years. It delivers a mission-accomplished moment that energizes his base, particularly in key areas like South Florida, where Rubio's influence is massive. It silences critics who said his foreign policy was just bluster. It's political gold. A swift, low-casualty victory against a universally disliked villain. The geopolitical shockwaves. But here is the terrifying part. Capturing the dictator is actually the easy part. The hard part is what happens tomorrow morning. The fallout from this is going to be messy. First, The vacuum in Venezuela. Who is in charge right now? The U.S. will try to install a friendly transitional government, but the Venezuelan military is deep-rooted and corrupt. Do they stand down? Or do we see a civil war explode? If Venezuela descends into total chaos, we could see a migration crisis that dwarfs anything we've seen at the U.S. southern border, the exact opposite of what Trump wants. Second, the great power retaliation. Russia just lost its most important ally in the Americas. Putin cannot let this stand without looking weak. He likely won't retaliate in Venezuela, but watch for asymmetric responses elsewhere. Perhaps an escalation in Eastern Europe, or cyberattacks, or trouble in the Middle East. China is furious. They have billions invested in Venezuela that might now be worthless. They view this as supreme American arrogance and a violation of sovereignty. Expect severe economic retaliation or aggressive moves in the South China Sea to test U.S. resolve elsewhere. By taking out Maduro, the U.S. has kicked over the geopolitical chessboard. They have chosen immediate action over long-term stability. They've secured a tactical win, but they may have started a strategic nightmare. The official story is that justice was served. The real story is a complex mix of oil economics, enforcing the Monroe Doctrine against Russia and China, and a White House eager for a massive win. Maduro is gone, but the fight for what and who replaces him, and the reaction from America's rivals, is only just beginning. What do you think? Was this operation a brilliant strategic move by Trump and Rubio to secure the hemisphere, or was it a reckless gamble that will lead to more chaos? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.